Hello and welcome. This is my SGDQ 2024 submission for Sports Story 80% No File Flip, the 2+ controller category. As you can see, I have a controller cam here. I'm going to be controlling all three of these controllers at the same time at some point in this run. And without further ado, let's just get right into it and I'll explain it as we go. So timing will start as I select a new file in 3, 2, 1, go. So this game doesn't normally have any intended multiplayer functions. However, just by simply having a second up to a fourth controller connected to the Switch will allow you to gain some unintended multiplayer functions, such as controlling other players basically whenever you want during cutscenes and stuff, and it's going to allow for a lot of cutscene skips, and that's going to actually come right here. For some reason, having multiple controllers plugged in at the same time, this beginning cutscene is actually going to end early. So then we go to the beach, and I'm going to be controlling a second person to exit the beach early, so we don't have to watch that cutscene either, and that saves about a minute and a half. So right here in the mall, there is a flag minigame that we need to do. However, by talking to this person a second time after the minigame starts, we will actually activate the we will actually activate the minigame for a second time. So we'll have two of these flag minigames running at the same exact time. And you'll notice that the timer in the top will be moving at double the speed. Luckily, we are just able to collect all these flags in 30 seconds rather than the normal 60 seconds. So this will just give us double rewards, which is very good, as for this beginning part of the run, we are looking at upgrading our character as quickly as possible so that we don't need to worry about it for the rest of the run. Also right here during this small little cutscene, I'm going to be setting up my second player just over there so I can use him later on. So now we enter Lens Shop. Lens Shop is a very important place. We're not going to be doing a whole lot here right now. We are just grabbing this putter, and then we will also be doing a very short mini game to get us ever so slightly closer to leveling up. And then right after this, we're going to be entering the license shop. Now, normally licenses, in order to get any additional licenses, you get the first one for free, but any additional licenses, you need to get a certain number of punch tickets. And these punch tickets you get for doing various things, such as mini games and challenges and completing golf courses and stuff like that. However, that's really slow, and we don't want to do that, so we will not be doing that. By setting up the second controller right in front of this printer where the license comes out, as the printer is printing the license, we can actually use the second player to grab the license before it is fully out of the printer. And what this will do is it'll make it so that we can just get unlimited licenses here, which will get us all the way to S class, which is the maximum class that we need to get into any area of the game. So now we can just use the third player to exit the hotel, or exit the mall, and now we can go to the hotel. So we need to enter this cutscene here. And by using the second controller, we can exit the hotel while that cutscene is still playing. And we need to watch that cutscene at some point in the run anyways, so doing it there is just the fastest. Now we are back in the beach. We need to buy the sandy wedge, as we will be required to have it during the last section of the game. And then we can come over here and do this minigame. This minigame is very easy. We just need to pop 3 of these balloons. We get 5 shots to do it. They're not very far away. And then once we get all the balloons, we can just hit the ball right into the water. And this will allow us to level up. And now that we are leveled up, we are going to be able to pull the woods club out of the sand, which is the whole reason why we did any of these mini games in the first place, as we won't be needing this woods club for much of this game. So we need to come over here, start the pole club cutscene, and while this cutscene's going, I'm going to be setting up my second character so that I'm right outside the beach loading zone, so that as soon as I get the woods item, I can just leave and I don't have to watch the rest of the cutscene. So we're just gonna wait for that item to come up, and we leave. Now we're gonna go back into the mall, back into Lens Shop, as there is a glitch we can do there that is very, very powerful. So if you recall from earlier, there's a bunch of boxes in Lens Shop, and we can push these boxes in a very specific way. So if we push this box through these boxes onto this side, we can then push it from this side all the way over here, do an unintended diagonal push it right here, and then push it all the way down next to this loading zone. When we re-enter this loading zone, we're actually going to be pushed out of bounds. So now we are in the out of bounds mall area, where basically all of the indoor mall rooms and any of the used and unused character assets that the game needs to pull from, they're all just stored in this out of bounds area. We don't need to do anything with them. We just need to find this activation area for the next minigame for the Moon's Quest. We need to complete the Moon's Quest in order to advance the story. So for this minigame, we need to collect 20 points. And basically, the closer you get to these pins, the more points you get, 10 being the max. So right here, I'm actually doing a glitch known as the hover glitch. By pressing the pause button on the second controller while I have the club out, it'll actually cause my character to float into the air. And I can use that to get extra height on these shots, as normally you're supposed to come to this mission much later, and you're supposed to have much better gear. And our gear that we have right now can't actually make all of these shots especially with some of this wind. So we're going to be trying to use this hover glitch to be able to pass this. I expect this to take maybe a couple attempts, as it is reliant on getting some good RNG. This is already a pretty good start, assuming I can get a good shot here. That's not the best, but we should be able to make that work. We got pretty good wind here, so we're gonna do a very small hover. And I don't want to overhit this. Unfortunately, I didn't hover as high as I thought I did. And we got unfortunate wind on this one, so we're gonna have to try this one again. I misplayed that one a little bit. That's fine. And some of these winds are easier to play than others. Northeast here is actually very difficult to play. That was actually a very good shot. Yeah, that was very good. Wow. 8 points on Northeast is very, very good. So assuming that this shot is good, which it is, we just need to have somewhat decent wind on any of these holes, and that is perfect. I shouldn't even need to do the hover glitch here. I should just be able to do a full shot right here, and this should give us enough points to be able to clear this, and yeah, it will. So now we have more than enough, so we can just hit this ball wherever, it doesn't really matter. So that is the Moon's Quest minigame done. That is the biggest RNG point of the entire run. So pretty glad that went pretty smooth. It only took a couple attempts. So now we need to just talk to this person a bunch of times, and that will complete the Moon's Quest. So now we are going to be back into the hotel. This is our room. We need to save and quit here. Saving and quitting does two things here. It will skip that little cutscene there, but it will also take me out of the multiplayer state, which is very important, as I'm about to enter a golf course, and if I was in the multiplayer state, I would have to play each hole with every single player. Also, right here, there's a trigger that doesn't allow me to leave, but doing a, we believe it's 1 to 2 frames. If you pull out your bag right as you enter the trigger, then you can just walk right over the trigger, basically, which allows us to leave the hotel early. So here we are. This is our first golf course. We're only going to be playing 2 golf courses in the run, that being Pure Strike and Britannia. Pure Strike being the longest one for sure. I'm going to go over some of the strats that we are going to try to employ here, but we just need to sit through this intro cutscene right now. So hole 1 we can play normally, and remember that we are supposed to have some much stronger clubs than we do right now. So many of the intended ways you're supposed to finish these holes we can't really do. So we're gonna shoot this just right over the bunker. Landing in the water will save just a tiny little bit of time on just a tiny little bit of time on the rolling animation. Unfortunately, we hit that sign. I was trying to go around it, but that's fine. We can just do another shot in between. A lot of these areas are much harder to play than normal, or at least than you might expect. Like for that shot, we have to really be careful of that building there, as the hitbox is way larger than you would expect way larger than you would expect it to be. So we have to really make sure that we hit a good shot there. Hole 2 is much harder than hole 1. There's this really annoying bunker right in front of the hole. So if we get bad wind, which north wind isn't really the best on this hole, you would much prefer having south wind or straight north wind. Because with south wind, we're unfortunately just going to have to, or with northwest wind, we're just going to have to hit it around here. As if we just went for the hole, we were pretty likely to hit the fence. So hopefully we can have just a good approach shot here, and that'll be more than good enough. So our score doesn't actually really matter here. As long as we are able to finish the holes as fast as possible, that's really the only thing that matters. We can get a hole-in-one here, but we got south wind, so this is very unlikely to actually give me a hole-in-one unless I get a pretty insane bounce, which I did not. Getting a hole-in-one here does save a decent amount of time, though. There's going to be other places where we can save strokes like that, though, if we get the correct wind. So on to hole 4, same thing here. We can technically get a hole-in-one here if we get perfect wind, which we did not. That's actually really bad wind. South wind on this hole is just almost guaranteed time losses. We're just gonna barely get into this bunker. If we get a very strong north, we can actually get a hole-in-one on this hole, but it's very unlikely that we would get a wind that good and then also hit the shot, as it is still a very difficult shot to make. So hole 5 is going to be the first hole where we introduce retiring, which is this game's give up if you've played any the Wii Sports golf games. So if we hit over the stroke limit, it'll just auto-complete the hole for us. So we can come over here into this water, and if we hit this ball perfectly into the water, which that might work. Okay, it was just barely off. That's unfortunate. But if we were to hit a better shot there, we would actually respawn on top of the water, which then we could just auto putt into the water for very quick strokes. And the reason that we want to hit it into the water is by hitting it into the water, we will get like a foul, which will increase our stroke every time. So instead of hitting it 10 individual times, we only need to hit it 5 times. And that water respawn strat is going to be very important for a lot of these give-up strats on these holes. Some are more consistent than others. 5 is probably the most inconsistent of all of them. But getting those strats save a lot of time over what I did there. So hole 6 is very difficult. We got pretty good wind here, so hopefully I can get a pretty good approach shot on this. The green here is filled with these hills, which is what those arrows are. They act as like hills. So as long as we can get over this first little hill here, which we just barely missed out on. So hopefully I can get a pretty good shot here. And nice. Oh, wow. That is a not easy shot to make, so I'm glad that I could have done that. So hole 7's interesting because it's actually just as fast to play as it is to give up. But giving up is just way easier. So if we hit this shot correctly, which as long as we hit it around this area, it will be correct, we'll actually get a very consistent water respawn. And as you can see, it's very fast to get these water respawns. So we can just instantly put it into the water. And it's like the fastest way to increase our stroke count. And as you can see, we are already done with this hole. Hole 8 is a tricky one. This is one of the longest holes in this course. So obviously we want to give up here, and there is water here. And getting this water respawned is very, very difficult. I unfortunately overshot that, so I'm going to have to just continue. But if you hit that shot perfectly, you will actually be able to stop in the water there, but it is very, very difficult to do. We might be able to get another water respawn here if we just hit the water, which we did. So this is a pretty easy, pretty quick backup if you miss the first one. Alright, so now we are on the last hole of Pure Strike. And this one is very simple. This is the longest hole, 543 yards, and that'll just take forever for our puny little clubs to actually get to the final hole. So we're just going to aim over here into the water. And if we get a good shot here, which we might have gotten far enough, with the south wind it's kind of difficult. Yeah, unfortunately we do. It's actually just faster to basically just go for it again to get the water respawn. Yeah, so we're basically just doing the same strat here. Respawn in the water, put it into the water, increase our stroke count as much as possible. What's actually funny is after the scorecard disappears, we can actually run for a little bit. We actually keep control of our character. But that is Pure Strike done. It is definitely easier than the other golf course that we're going to be doing later. But that is a pretty good show of the basic golfing mechanics of this game. So as you can see there, if you were looking at my controller cam, I'm actually connecting my controllers back because when I entered the single player state again, or rather when I disconnected from the multiplayer state again, it actually turns my controllers off. So while I'm in this cutscene, I'm just waiting. I turn my controllers back on because right after this cutscene, I'm going to be saving and quitting again and getting back into that multiplayer state. So it's going to be very helpful in just a minute or two. So again, we're back into the hotel. If you notice, we accidentally duped some NPCs there, so there's a couple duplicates of the NPCs there in that cutscene, but it's all fine. So we just need to get this cutscene or trigger skip again, as we're normally supposed to do something before leaving the mall, but that's slow and we don't want to do that, so. We're just going to re-enter the mall, as we need to come over here and talk to these guys, as talking to these guys will activate a quest that we need to be activated in order to enter one of the later stages of the game called Spy Quest. So yeah, I'm just reconnecting back into the multiplayer state. And then I can just leave them all. So now we're going to be entering a brand new area known as Britannia. Britannia is normally a very, very long section. However, there are many things we can do. Right off the bat, we're going to be doing the hover glitch in order to get over this firewall type thing. So we can actually just walk right over that. And then we're also going to be doing the glitch right here as well. So we can activate the hover glitch and then get over this loading zone. So now we are in the out of bounds Britannia area. And we can actually just get like one of the very later Britannia items, the orb, which we're not supposed to be able to get for quite a long time from now. But using the out of bounds glitch, we can just get it right now. And this will set our story progression much later in the Britannia. So now we just need to watch these cutscenes and then... So we're about to play another round of golf. We're going to be doing the Britannia golf, which will be the last golf course. So we just need to talk to this guy up here real quick. He'll give us some vector balls, which we will be using. And then we are going to save and quit in order to disconnect the multiplayer again. Now there is a cutscene here that if I get the trigger script, just like the one that we do in the hotel, I'll be able to skip this like minute-long cutscene. So hopefully I'm able to get that. Nice, and we got it. That is very difficult to do and very easy to mess up. And it's a pretty big time loss if you miss that. So here there's a green gas, so we're supposed to be turning that off, but that's slow, so we can just use the bag to skip past it. And now we can enter the Britannia Golf. Now, the Britannia Golf section is going to be relatively similar to the Pure Strike Golf section that we did. We're going to be using relatively the same strats. There's going to be some minor differences, especially since there's no water in Britannia. Instead, there is this void, which acts a little bit differently than the water in Pure Strike. So, again, we're just going to be going through these holes semi-casually. Just playing these as fast as possible. Again, we can still run around. We can't actually do anything with that tiny little bit control, but it's still funny that you can do that. Also, right here, the game didn't really program the walls, so we can actually just come all the way over here into this what looks to be out of bounds. We can just blast through this wall, but there's actually ground here. And shockingly, this is actually the fastest way to play this hole, since we can just shoot the ball from this out of bounds area. Use the vector ball, which will bounce the ball in the direction of the hole. Okay, we just barely overshot the hole, but we can normally do that. We can normally use that to do a pretty easy eagle setup there. Unfortunately, just very slightly missed it. So hole 3 is going to be the first Britannia hole that we intentionally give up. So by doing a very precise shot here, hopefully I can get it. That looks good. By doing a very precise shot here, we can actually, okay. Unfortunately, just barely missed it. However, that's still fine. If we hit that shot correctly, we'll actually be placed on top of the void, similar to when we were playing Pure Strike, we were sitting on top of the water. It would have just allowed us to putt very slightly faster into the void, but it's not that big of a deal. It's a couple seconds, as we're still just going to be putting into the void. As the void, just like the water, will increase our stroke count. Although on the scorecard, the game counts it as 0 for some reason, so. Also, same deal as hole 2 here. The walls don't exist, so we can actually just basically skip this entire hole and just shoot it right through the wall into where the hole is. And you can get a hole in one on this hole, but it is very difficult with the hill and the wind. I unfortunately used my second vector ball while putting into the void on hole 3. So if I didn't do that, I would have been able to use that to slightly improve my chances on this hole, but it's not that big of a deal. So hole 5 we're also going to be intentionally giving up as well. This one is a lot easier than hole 5. There isn't really a void setup. All we do is just put it into the void like this, and we're just gonna basically do that for the rest of this hole. Now, as poorly as this game is built, this game still has very good music, so. Again, hole 6, it's going to be a very similar thing here. There's actually a hidden invisible wall here. So if you just didn't aim and did a full power shot, if you were just trying to play this casually, you would actually hit an invisible wall. It would knock you backwards through the wall below me and would count me out of bounds. Which I think is very funny if you were trying to play this casual and you were on a good score. Again, a lot of these holes in Britannia, because this is a late game golf course, we're meant to have these very strong clubs, and we just don't. We have the 3 basic clubs that we need to beat the game, and that's about it. So the fastest way to play these is just going to be using the void to our advantage. Now, in a theoretical sense, okay, I actually got a void spawn there. I think that's a random chance if you, or like pseudo RNG, but that does save a little bit of time. But theoretically, it could be faster to play some of these holes with the clubs that we have, but they would require chip-ins, and those just aren't consistent enough in order to do those in full game runs. However, maybe in ILs they would be worth going for. So that's hole 8 done. That is the last hole we're going to be giving up in the entire run, as we are going to be playing hole 9. It is possible to get a hole-in-one on this, so I'm going to be trying to do that. That looks pretty good. And unfortunately, we're just barely short. If I put a little bit more power on that, that would have been a hole-in-one, but it's fine. We can just put it in right here. So that is all of the golf courses in this game completely done. Again, while I watch this next cutscene here, I'm just going to be reconnecting my controllers, as I'm going to be needing them as soon as this cutscene's over. Also, because of a lot of the glitches that we did earlier, all these NPCs are going to be duplicated, so normally this cutscene doesn't look like this, but because we have severely broken this game throughout this run so far, the game gets a little confused here. So as soon as this cutscene's done, we're going to be brought back into the spot that we bought the golf game. And when we save and quit in that, we're actually going to be brought back into that shop. Instead of where we would normally be brought back into. This saves time in walking up, and it also means that we don't have to... it also means that we don't have to do that cutscene skip again, which is very good, as that cutscene is very difficult. So right here, I'm actually setting up another glitch. We're supposed to be playing this cricket mini game where we knock about these balls all over. And we have to hit them 10 different times. However, if we set this up so we have these balls here already, we can just hit those balls, and those actually still count as hitting the balls, so we can just instantly finish that mini game. So now we just need to progress the story a little bit. So we need to head back over here and talk to Jet Silver again, who is the girl up here with the like the purple hair. Also, again, because of the stuff that we did, there are some duplicates of the NPCs here. But doing this will bring Jet Silver over to where that Baguette biker cutscene was after we finish the Britannia Golf section, which will allow us to give her some tea, and by giving her the tea, we will be able to activate the last mini game of this Britannia section. So for the last time, we need to just pause buffer past this green gas. And then we can just continue as normal. So we talk to her to get the tea mission started. Then we can come over here, and there's actually a very fun section here where we need to activate all of these things in a specific order in order to make the tea, and I'm like really messing this up, so it's I'm not showing this to the best ability, but that section's very tight to do, so if you can nail it, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun movement. So now that we have the tea, we can just head back to Jet Silver and bring in the tea, and then we can enter the last minigame of Britannia. So when we enter this, there's normally a cutscene that plays, and this is like the biggest reason that we re-entered into multiplayer. We can use the hover glitch again to get over this cutscene, and this is normally a very long cutscene that plays. But thankfully we don't have to do that, and we can just very easily hover over. So after this cutscene plays, we're going to be going into the very last cricket minigame in this section. This cutscene is a complete auto-scroller. There is nothing I can do to speed it up or slow it down, so I'll just leave this be for now. So now that that cutscene auto-scroller minigame is done, there is actually one more minigame. It's a very small minigame that we need to do here. This one is completely RNG though, as if we get any south wind, because our clubs still suck, we actually can't complete it. So we will need to hit this trash can with one of the balls here. And there's going to be a group of people blocking it. So if we get any south wind, then we just won't have enough power to be able to complete it. Fortunately, we did get north wind, so we can just hit it pretty normally, and we hit the trash can, and we are out of here. And that is it for Britannia. And now for this next section, we are going to be entering the spy quest. And the spy quest is my personal favorite part of the game. It has a lot of really fun movement and small optimization strats. And I'm just excited to show it off. So we just need to sit through these cutscenes. And then exit the hotel again. We need to do the same strat as we have plenty of times before. We just need to pause buffer past this trigger. And now we need to enter Whistlington. Is by talking to Jet Silver again. Will take us into the Pelican Waters section. And the Pelican Waters section is the place where we can activate the spy quest. And the whole reason that we're doing this is activating the spy quest will give us access to the Royal Gardens area of the game. Now, we won't actually be going to Royal Gardens. Casually, you're supposed to be going there, but we won't actually be going there. We're going to be going to the Wildlands instead, which is another area that's unlocked, or another place that's unlocked in that Royal Gardens area. As there, we're going to be doing a very game-breaking glitch to basically skip all the way to the end of the game. So since we talked to Laura earlier in the game, they will be here and we can enter the spy quest. Now, after this cutscene, we're going to be entering the spy quest. And the spy quest is basically like a stealth mission. We actually don't have access to a lot of the normal abilities that we have. We can't pull out a club, so we can't do any of the hover glitches with the multiplayer stuff. And we don't have any golf balls to throw anymore. Instead, we have matchsticks. However, these matchsticks are very, very strong, as you can see here. Even stronger than the golf balls would be. So immediately, as soon as we gain control here, we're going to be using these matchsticks to explode these boxes of fireworks here, which will allow us to get to the next section. And in this section, we're basically just going to be getting a bunch of key cards that will unlock the next section. We're going to be transporting Laura and Moon to the next section. It's basically like an escort mission. So we can actually sneak past this guard just barely by hogging that forklift there. Saves a tiny bit of time. We grab the wire cutters here, and we're going to intentionally get caught, which will bring us back up here. And now if I do this correctly, I can throw a matchstick as I enter that cutscene, which will blow open the box of fireworks, which will remove the guard, which I needed to do anyway. And then getting caught there will also move me back over here as quickly as possible. So basically we can just do two things at once there. It's a very, very small optimization. So now we get the red key card and we use it on here, which will allow Laura Moon to advance to the next section. Now, normally we need to use this key card again to open up this gate. However, these matchsticks, like I said, are much stronger than the golf balls, and we can actually just throw a matchstick on there and it just deletes the gate. So we don't need to worry about opening the gate. Laura and Moon aren't with us, but there's actually a trigger right here that will just warp them to us. Now, normally you're supposed to get rid of this guard by, you know, going around and stuff, but you can use the wire cutters at the same time as getting caught there. And by using the wire cutters, it will remove the guard as well. So we can just skip that whole section. Again, we can use the matchstick to just delete the gate there. We got the spy key, which will allow us to open up some of these things over here. We need to get a couple things to make a bomb so that we can explode a door up top. So we got the battery and we got the explosives. We just need to grab the detonator, and then now we need to use the key down here in this room. Which will give us the yellow key card, and technically, while the gate isn't there, we still need to open the gate that doesn't exist anymore to allow Laura and Moon. It's just faster to break the gate with the matchsticks to begin with anyway. So now we blow it up this, we can enter the interior of Spy Quest, and the interior of Spy Quest is where we can break the game even more. Now, if you haven't noticed already, the game is pretty laggy right now. We're doing a bunch of things that the game just does not like us doing. So after I use this key card here to distract the guard, I'm actually just going to save and quit, as saving and quitting while removing the multiplayer state, we need to do that anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. It actually helps with the lag and allows us to do a glitch coming up in a little bit, since the lag is gone. As if you had the lag here, if it wouldn't allow you to do the glitch for some reason. So if I have perfect movement here, I can actually just barely sneak past this guard. Okay, I ran into the box, so not a very good showcase of that, so now we have to wait for this card. And normally you're supposed to press a bunch of buttons and move the guards around. And while this guard isn't actually moved here, his sight is still where I am. So we have to, I actually just skipped that guard's trigger there. I may not have looked at it, but I did. You can do a pause buffer. And now mashing the pick up and throw button here, if I do this correctly, it'll actually warp us out of bounds for some reason. Also banana. We don't actually need the banana, it's just fun to grab the banana. So now we're in the out of bounds spy quest state, and we can just enter the very last room of this quest and just skip the entire thing. Also, I'm going to be going for a very small time save here. Okay, I missed it. But if you pause in that elevator, it'll skip the elevator door closing cutscene. So now here's another cutscene that I'm going to try to skip. This is the hardest cutscene skip in the entire game. Oh, okay. I was a pixel off there, unfortunately. So we do have to watch this cutscene. Yeah, if you get that pause buffer correctly, I was just a pixel off, which is really unfortunate. But if you get that cutscene skip correctly, you can just walk out of this room, and you don't have to watch this cutscene of this guy talking to us. So now for the rest of this HQ section, we just need to collect a bunch of notes here, and they're just scattered throughout. Technically, we can actually just leave the HQ, which will allow us to get to the last section. But because we don't talk to the girl again, it won't give us the train ticket we need in order to get to the Royal Gardens section that we needed to get to. So unfortunately, we do have to go through and collect all these notes and watch these cutscenes, but this will give us the train ticket to Royal Gardens, which will allow us access to Wildlands, which is where we can massively break this game. As if this game wasn't broken enough as you've been watching. So right after this cutscene, we can just leave the HQ, and we can take the helicopter back to the hotel. This is all just to get the train ticket to Royal Gardens. If we had a way to get the train ticket to Royal Gardens or access the Royal Gardens area without doing any of the HQ spy quest type stuff, we would save like 30 minutes or something, as we would skip basically everything, which is what the normal any percent category does, but this doesn't allow file flip, and file flip is a very, very game-breaking glitch. So now we are in Wildlands, and Wildlands is normally not a very exciting location. There isn't a lot here. Also, this guy will normally talk to us, so we can just pause buffer back past his trigger. Normally he doesn't allow us to pass as is right now, but with the pause buffer we can just get right by him. And now we have this little tiny cutscene with the pirates. Normally these pirates are how you get to the end of the game. They'll be at the beach, and you can do a bunch of stuff at the beach, and the pirates will take you to the very last section of the game, known as the decathlon, which is basically like the final boss, quote unquote, of this game. But we're gonna do something a little different here. So as you know, we can throw golf balls, and golf balls interact with the world in different ways. There are mines over here. So what would happen if we throw a golf ball into a mine, and then we walk into it? Well, the mine explodes, and we just start floating. This will push us out of bounds, and will give us access to the out of bounds wildland section. And the out of bounds wildland section is very, very important, as it has something that we don't really know why it's in the game, but it basically has a loading zone to the very last section of the game. So like I said earlier, if we had a way to get to wildlands earlier without the use of the file flip glitch, we would save upwards of 30 minutes in this run. So if I just make my way in this outer bound section here, we can get over here into this section, and this trigger right here, as soon as I enter it, will just give us access to the very last section of the game. So right here, I'm right outside the loading zone of the decathlon, which is the very last area of the game. And now the decathlon is basically just 10 mini games stacked on top of each other. We don't actually need to do anything in these mini games. As long as we just complete these shots as quickly as possible, that's all we need to do. We don't need any type of score. And the score doesn't really matter anyway, because it just gives us a 0. Cricket does actually matter, though. Cricket is the only game that we actually need to score. So we need to hit this trash can 3 different times. And we'll note, it looked like I hit the trash can there, but unfortunately this game didn't think so. But when we hit this trash can, these like fireworks will go off just like that. And we just need to hit this 3 times. It is actually possible, if we get south wind here, it would be possible to hit the trash can more than once in a single shot. Okay, that's another unfortunate hit there, where the game just didn't count it. But it would be possible to hit the trash can twice in a single shot. But the game still expects you to do it in 3 shots, so if you did do that, you would have to just putt away the final shot in order to clear this minigame. That one was my mistake. That was my bad. I just misread the shot there. And there we go. That's the final hit. And now for the rest of these minigames, we just need to putt as quickly as we can. This is like the... So, to give a little backstory, this game is supposed to be a successor to the very popular indie game Golf Story, which was, just an RPG game where you played a bunch of golf. And Sports Story was supposed to be the successor to that, another RPG type game where we played a bunch of different sports. However, you don't really play different sports. Like, it's still golf for the most part. Like, as you can see here, this is the soccer one, but we're just putting a soccer ball. So it's an interesting direction to go to say for sure. Yeah, we just need to get through these games as quickly as possible. We aren't very worried about the score here. Now, I will say, Sports Story has had a very interesting history because this game isn't built the most optimally. This game crashes a lot, so a lot of the things that we do in this game and during the run are to try to avoid crashes. However, it is very possible to crash. Mini golf is one of the most common crashes during the end of the game. I've had plenty runs that have been on pace that have just crashed in this final section. Another Sports Story speeder, Wipeout Jack 7. When the game first came out and he was doing runs before the timing rules changed, before the timing ended on the credits. However, with his switch would consistently crash the fade out before the credits, which is a main reason why the timing now ends on the fade out before the credits instead of the credits actually showing, as it was just way too common for the game to just crash before the credits, or like as the credits scene was loading. All right, so we're in the final game here. Again, we don't need to do anything special. We just need to put this away. Hopefully we don't crash. It'd be very sad to crash this far into the submission. And just like that, we are basically done with the run. So now we just have to wait for this cutscene. There's this cutscene of us winning the decathlon despite doing basically nothing. It's like those videos of Luigi winning Mario Party while doing nothing, but we won. We got first place somehow, even though I have the most basic clubs in the world and I putted most of the time. But you know, it's no big deal. This is the very last cutscene of the game, actually. These are the pirates that we were supposed to see at the beach, but we skipped a bunch of stuff. Yeah, right after this cutscene is when timing ends. So, in about 15 seconds, assuming we don't crash, hopefully we don't crash, yeah, timing will end as soon as the screen turns all the way black. And time. And that is Sports Story, any percent, no file flip, with 3 different controllers, done in 56 minutes and 20 seconds. That wasn't a terrible run. You know, I messed some things up. Moon's Quest, you know, could have been a little better. I missed some cutscene skips, but overall, I think this is a pretty good showing of this category. This category is very cool. You do a bunch of different little things. As the normal any percent category is basically just get to the decathlon and then you do that. So I think this is, at least in my opinion, a more interesting display of this game. This game it's riddled with so many little tiny bugs. It's just, you know, sometimes it's surprising that this game was released. But I'm appreciative of it. I love this speed game. The speed game is really fun. It's really fun to speedrun. At least when the game doesn't crash randomly. But the jokes aside, this is an awesome speed game and an awesome speedrun. And I encourage anybody watching to check the speedrun out, as there's still so much to explore with this game. This game is so broken already. It's been out for not even a year and a half, and it's already one of the most broken speedruns I've ever done. And I've played Ocarina. I used to speedrun Ocarina of Time all the time, and that game's a broken mess. But anyway, yeah, this is Sports Story. It's a beautiful mess. We have, as you can see, we have 4 different of the same characters on the screen. We have one right there, one right up here, up there, up there. We got so many duplicates on the screen. But yeah, that's the game, and that is my submission for it. I think this would be awesome to showcase at SGDQ, as this game is hilariously broken at times. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm free to answer them. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll leave it here.